about to get real, keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined by my co-host Nick Pretzel on this mini podcast episode. We are going to go over the previous mock drafts from our previous seasons, starting with the 2025 draft last year. And what did we predict? What did we hit? What are the guys that we said, look out for this? This should be a Steeler. This guy's going to be good in the NFL. This is a we told you so kind of episode. Nick, how you feeling this morning?
James, it's been a good morning. We just recorded our most recent episode of the main pod. Unfortunately, Cody and Jill not able to join us for this mini, so they've got some other things going on. But I'm excited, James. This is where we get to toot our own horns a little bit. We get to say, hey, these were my guys, similar to our most recent series of mini pods. Kind of go over the prospects that we hit on. It's not ever really too fun to go over the ones you missed on, and obviously there's going to be a lot of those. But this is the episode where we get to say, hey, look at the guys that we found, show off our analytical muscles, so to speak. And just a good time to have. So I'm happy to get into it. I'm excited to get into it.
So what better place for us to flex our draft knowledge than with the two of us that hit last year? Now we had mock drafts from myself, from Nick, from Cody. All of us did mock drafts last year. Nick was becoming a mainstay on this, but not a full-time part of the crew at that stage quite yet, as he is now. Two of us had the foresight to say Derek Harmon will be the pick in the first round. I was one of them. You were the other one. That's weird. It's almost like you was the selection, Nick.
I was just about to be like, I wonder who those two geniuses were there, James. But it's kind of hard to miss sometimes on talent in the first round. I mean, it happens frequently in the NFL. You'll have guys that are analyzed as being a better prospect than they actually are, or the injury concerns end up actually coming to fruition. But Harmon was not one of those. He did end up getting a little bit banged up early on, but I mean, I'm sure if you're a fan of this podcast, you know how thrilled we were when Pittsburgh took Harmon in the first round. It was a position of need. It was a position we wanted them to go for. And when he was not on the field, the defense looked worse as a result. When he was on the field, the defense looked immensely better as a result. So obviously a hit of ours, one that we both got correct in that Pittsburgh wanted that to select him and did, and one that also we were correct in analyzing the prospect of saying this is going to be a high caliber guy. And I'm excited to see how he continues to be an integral part of this Pittsburgh defense for the coming years.
Absolutely. So it was a well-rounded, he could do everything, and that's what Pittsburgh needed, and we knew that. He was replacing Larry Ogunjobi, who never lived up to the billing. Derek Harmon has looked excellent so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're excited about his future. Next guy on this list is going to be someone that I mocked and then Cody mocked later on in the series, which was a safety by the name of Craig Woodson. I know this was not a Steelers selection, but Craig Woodson was good enough for the New England Patriots that they moved on from the starting safeties the previous year, who were Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar, who both ended up Pittsburgh Steelers later on in the season. So from the talent evaluation aspect, it was somebody that we had identified as someone who we thought would be a good safety in the NFL. Turned out Craig Woodson was a very good safety for the Patriots this last year. So even though not selected by the Steelers, still a hit that we're going to take credit for on the evaluation side of things.
Absolutely. With 79 total tackles, 42 solo, 37 assisted, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 passes deflected. Not a bad start for a fourth-round rookie that ends up replacing your previous 2 starters. A little bit of that might have been the turning of the old guard from, I believe it was Gerard Mayo to Mike Vrabel this past year. So, I mean, you find your guys, you bring them in, and you use them. And Duggar, who was with us, and I believe Peppers ended up with us as well.
Correct.
Neither of them on the team anymore. Duggar just signing with the Bengals, as we just covered in the most recent episode as well. So, yeah, definitely a prospect that you and Cody highlighted that turned out to be a good evaluation. Unfortunately, not one that Pittsburgh jumped on. And Wish we had been able to. I don't remember if New England was picking ahead of us or not. I believe they were. So really solid selection there. Played in the Super Bowl, played decent in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. So
Yeah, absolutely. Next one is one that I get to stand on the platform by myself on, which is Corey Krosky Merritt. Now going by Bill. Bill Krosky Merritt, who the Washington Commanders decided was good enough that they could move on from their starting running back from the previous season, and they traded him away. To me, like the running back position is something I've had a little bit of success with evaluating talent. He was one of my guys last season, and it turned out not a bad selection for the Washington Commanders there.
not in the slightest. And I mean, he was a little bit banged up throughout the year. We can't really put that against him. But even with that injury, he racked up 175 carries, 805 yards, and 8 touchdowns, averaging 4.6 yards on the carry. So, I mean, for not being able to play a full season, that's really solid numbers for a rookie running back who's kind of thrust into that starting role.
Yeah, how he was so low on people's draft boards will never make sense to me. The talent was there when you watched the guy. So I think people get a little bit too caught up in the whole height, weight, speed stuff sometimes. And it's an important part of the evaluation. But with running backs, you don't have to be the tallest dude. You don't have to be the fastest dude. You do have to have good contact balance and vision. Those are probably two of the most important things. And you can't really measure that with a test. You just have to watch the tape on that. Another guy that we hit on, Cody gets to stand on the platform on this one. He had Will Howard mocked to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 4th round. As we know, the Steelers selected him in the 6th round. So that's a hit for him on selecting the correct player, which is a difficult thing to do. When you only have 6 or 7 selections to go, hitting even 1 or 2 of them is difficult. Cody evaluated the right guy. Somebody that we're all looking forward to seeing in future games for Pittsburgh and hoping might even be a solution for the future. Will Howard was his selection, so we'll give Cody credit on that one. Definitely a good choice.
Seems like a lot of analysts were a lot higher on him than the actual NFL ended up being, which is why Cody was able to snag him there in the 4th as opposed to in the 6th where he actually went. But yeah, there were some rounds where he was going as high as round 3. Really solid depth selection, I think, and hopefully we can see him develop into a starter. Hopefully Aaron comes back for another year. He gets to develop for another year, and we see how that goes because we saw how that worked in Green Bay. Mike McCarthy's here now. He's the quarterback whisperer, and hopefully we'll get some real success in the black and gold.
Absolutely. Next guy didn't get drafted by the Steelers, but somebody you mocked that has had a successful career thus far in the NFL, TreVeyon Henderson, the running back, went to the Patriots, right?
Yeah, he did. Ended up having to start the year off in a bit of a timeshare with Ramondre Stevenson. Lost some touches to Antonio Gibson as well, but then solidified himself towards the end of the year. And it's kind of the same story with Bill Krosky Merritt, an earlier selection than Bill, but only 5 more carries for 119 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging 5.1 a carry. Was as effective as one can be in the Super Bowl as the Patriots O-line was suffering a bit there due to the pretty stifling Seattle defense, which we'll get to when we talk about one of your prospects later on here. But, still a solid showing for a rookie who didn't get to start right away.
Yeah, next guy, another one of your hits as far as the talent evaluation side, not selected by the Steelers, but you liked Tyler Shock in the draft, selected by the Saints. He seemed to be one of the quarterbacks that had a successful rookie year this year.
Yeah, also lost a lot of time to Spencer Rattler, ended up being able to replace him and showed the promise that I highlighted in the draft process. A lot of people were a bit lower on him because he was an older rookie prospect and he had some injury history. But before all the injury history and in spite of his a little slightly advanced age for a rookie, I believe he was only 26 at the time he was drafted. So not a young prospect by any means, but not an old man. He prior to that had been touted as one of the top QB prospects. So when you see a guy that falls off a little bit or at least drops, he didn't really fall off. He more so just dropped because he's older and he was hurt. So he still had that same caliber of talent, and New Orleans took a shot on him in the 3rd round. He's turning out to be a pretty decent quarterback, and with their picks this year, who knows? Maybe they'll be able to get some guys to build around him and have that team going on all cylinders.
Absolutely. Seems like they really nailed it. It's tough to find a quarterback that's a solution for you long term later in the draft, but they seem to have done the process correctly there. Next one, we had 2 mock drafts. Some of us did anyway. I was fortunate enough to have 2 mock drafts last season. In my second one, I said the Steelers should draft Nick Eamon-Warry, the safety that ended up going to the Seattle Seahawks. And boy, did he have an electric rookie season. So not a selection by the Steelers, but the evaluation of talent appears to be correct, as he was an instrumental part for that defense and how stifling they were the entire way to winning the Super Bowl this previous season here. So what a player, a multi-purpose weapon who played very well as a safety and a nickel corner, which we didn't see coming. But man, boy, is that a guy that most teams would love to have on their roster right now.
Absolutely. 81 total tackles, 56 solo, 25 assisted, had 1 interception and 11 passes defended. A stellar rookie season for a safety and a guy that you don't want to be throwing his way very often.
All right, last couple here real quick. I had in my second mock draft as late round picks by the Steelers, and only being highlighted because I nailed who they were. The Steelers actually drafted both of these guys, which put me as having the mock draft with the most amount of correct selections last season. Y.A. Black being the first one that I chose, Carson Bruner being the second one. Carson Bruner felt like the free space on the bingo card last year, as being the son of the former tight end Mark Bruner and a current scout for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Y.A. Black was the size, weight, length guy that just made sense on the defensive line. I thought Y.A. Black far exceeded expectations of where he was selected in the draft on the field and put some really good tape out there in his rookie season, even being forced into the starting lineup at points later on in the season. And Carson Bruner had over 20 tackles as a special teams only guy, which is an incredible season for a special teamer, and finished second on the team only to Ben Skoranek, who went to the Pro Bowl and was a second team All-Pro. So an impressive performance for both of these guys, not only being selected, but being able to contribute to the team in their rookie seasons. As late round picks, that just doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, really solid selections, and it's what we talk about all the times of hoping to find those value players late in the draft. And those were 2 guys that absolutely fulfilled that prophecy. We hope that we can do it again. You love to see it happen, the con artist cooking in the kitchen, and we hope that with the NFL draft right around the corner, we'll see some similar hits from some of the mock drafts that we've already been posting. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. And unless you have anything else, James, I think that wraps up this mini pod.
Yeah, absolutely. So stick with us. We're going to do one of these for each of the mock drafts the years that we've done all the way back to 2019. 2 a week all the way up until the NFL draft. So look for these mini pods to be released during the week. Probably do some Tuesday, Thursday releases most likely on these. But if you have any input, throw them in the comments. Nick, get us on out of here.
Who's a guy that you liked? Drop them in the comments. If you hit on somebody in your mock drafts, drop it there as well. And until next time, these are your hosts, James and Nick, signing off.
Peace.